Hi guys, today I'm reviewing Vivarium starring Jesse Eisenberg. So this came out in March of 2020, and I think it did have a bit of a theatrical release right before the lockdown with the coronavirus, but now it's up on Amazon Prime, and it is listed as a comedy, a horror, mystery, sci-fi. I don't know so much that if I would call it a comedy. I think it's a little bit more kind of like in the Twilight Zone realm of kind of... Actually, it strikes me as a little bit more of a drama than a comedy. I think maybe they're referencing some sort of dark humor, but it's really more kind of Twilight Zone mystery sci-fi. This is by Lorcan Finnegan, the director, who also co-wrote it with Garret, Shanley. So it's kind of based on their 2011 short film Foxes. So it's always kind of interesting to see like the backstory of kind of more independent filmmakers that take smaller ideas and then turn them into a larger idea. If you've seen the premise of this film, or if you've seen any of the trailers that go into this, you basically kind of get a sense of the premise, which unfortunately I kind of would have liked to have not known the premise going into this initial film. But if you see the trailers, or I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to give spoilers, but essentially the premise is that a very young couple, Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots, are looking for their kind of first house, and then they look at this particular development property, which is very kind of like very creepy, like overly cookie cutter suburbs, new houses in like a brand new kind of ultra sterile environment, and then essentially they can't seem to find their way out of this residential neighborhood, and they're stuck to live in this residential neighborhood. So it kind of has this whole isolation theme to this film. So I don't want to go into spoilers on the plot, but overall, it's a really interesting film in that it had this kind of metaphor, this very strong metaphor to life, that reminds me a little bit of Darren Aronofsky's Mother, where, we kind of have that was a biblical metaphor in that particular case, but then this really has kind of a resonance to somewhat of, our suburban lives and how we live out our lives. And, it's kind of like getting into that whole suburban nightmare of the horror film, that kind of some of the biggest scares in our reality and the things that we're really afraid of don't happen in the dark with murderers. It's actually more terrifying to live, this life of quiet desperation, as this film really goes into it. It's an hour and 37 minutes. It's rated R. I would say that while it is a bit slow and there's a very small cast to it, the acting is very, very good throughout. It's quite wonderful. Imogen Poots kind of reminds me of a young Emily Blunt. She's got a lot of emotional availability, and she's very, it's very easy to kind of understand what her thoughts are watching this film. And then Jesse Eisenberg, it's been hard for me to kind of shake the Mark Zuckerberg when I watched Jesse Eisenberg, but he did a really nice job in this as well, as they kind of go into this bit of a slow decay into, kind of madness in this film. The cinematography in this is actually, it's a really good example of very purposeful cinematography and very good visual storytelling. There's a lot of very excellent framing that kind of is telling a little bit more of the story than maybe you would think at first glance. So cinematography, the look really fits the film. It's very consistent throughout, and I would say the execution of this film is very, very good. Like I said, it is this kind of Black Mirror, Twilight Zone energy to it. I reviewed another film recently, The Vast of Night, which is also up on Amazon Prime, which very much takes the style of the Twilight Zone, like literal the style of the Twilight Zone. But this actually kind of even had more of the spirit of the Twilight Zone and more of the horror of that kind of, sci-fi horror, this idea of that, kind of really tells the human story, and it connects a little bit more to our actually deeper fears. Very, very unsettling in that. Overall, this, like I said, being an hour and 37 minutes, I think it was the right amount of time, because it does feel a little bit like it is the longer version of a short film. So I think that overall, the pacing is deliberate but purposeful, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I think probably, that the fact that it is this isolationist movie in the time when we're in isolation, it resonated more. And so I would say that it's a little bit more of a drama in that. I'm going to give this movie a B. It's really, really well directed. and I thought that there was a lot of artistic integrity to this film overall in general. So you know, it was kind of a hidden gem for me. You know, like I said, I kind of wish I didn't have any knowledge going into it, because the actual plot, the actual unfolding of the premise is quite fascinating, and I wonder what my experience would have been if I had no idea that that was what was going to happen, that they were going to get kind of, you know, stuck into this suburban, you know, this suburban place. But that's all kind of given away in the trailer. So anyway, this is a B. I'd say definitely check it out. It was a lot of fun. Let me know if you liked it or if you didn't like it in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later.